Caplan, please?
We were talking last week about Rav Kook, and the truth is, somebody might ask the question, what are you talking about somebody that was 100 years ago? Again, he died 90 years ago, maybe 80 years ago. What are you interested in such a thing? We're living in a new tkufa, a new time. Some people call it post-Zionism. And what's it? Okay, to know what was Rav Kook. But I think it's important because it's no get and nowadays also to understand to understand what's going on now. There are such people that are called Lumiyim. Lumiyim means nationalistic. And we have to understand where the shorish of their mistake comes from. And even though we are not part of that group, but also some ideas, it happens many times that ideas that come from outside the base matters creep into our minds. And we think that they're true ideas. No, we don't know that they came from the outside, and they're not das Torah. We see over here itself that there's somebody that he thinks that when you, let's say I give a talk I give a talk, and people hear it, and there's this producer that he keeps telling me, we got this many hits, we got that many hits. Who cares how many hits? Does the Torah tell you how many hits you have to get?
Well, Rabbi Kaplan, there's such a thing as marbe gvulo b'talmidim.
You see that? And it goes so far that he even thinks that we're being mekayim marbe gvulo b'talmidim. When I say real Torah in Parshas Kisisa, when I said a piece of Torah, and then that's not that we shouldn't talk because we don't get so many hits. I'm saying Torah. I'm saying real Torah. You know that the Noda B'Yehuda in a tshuva, he tells about somebody that he wants to do tshuva. So he says the main tshuva is with limud Torah, and he says he should do limudim sheyesh bohem mamish. Kigon limud Gemara be'iyun. Or if he learns Mishnayos, he should learn with the Taisus Yom Tov, not just with the Bartanura. And he says, Limud Sheyeshbo. I was shocked when I saw that Loshen in the Noda B'Yehuda. It's Tshuva Lamedei in Orach Chaim. I told you already, talking about the famous Shaila about there was Baal Shasish, and if he should tell the husband. And then he's talking about how this person should do Tshuva. So he says the main thing is that he learns Torah, Yamim V'Layla, that's the best tshuva. So he says, Yesh Bo Mamish, it should be a limud Yesh Bo Mamish. And what does it mean, Lafuke? What? This Torah that's ain't Bo Mamish? Yeah, I mean, there are, you see there's people that they live an easy life, like I once saw in Breslov, said the Bali Chiva shaking themselves over a Likutim Haran and sang. I mean, every line over there needs an explanation, a deep explanation. Sitting and reading, and saying Rabbeinu. That's their language. What shaykhs do they have? That's a limud shein bo mamish. That's what the Noda B'Yehuda was saying. Not like that. That with that you can't be about shuva with such a learn. Same thing is over here. This kind of teaching Torah through the internet, through the Talmudic Kekezis, that people are going to watch it while they're I don't know, or while they're sitting around. They're not going to listen. I don't believe. I'd like to know if any of the listeners really listens with concentration, with attention, with thinking of what I'm saying. Each time they sit while they're driving, or while they're sleeping, or while they're I don't know what, or while they're riding on the bus, and they listen to it. They don't take it as learning Torah. So I don't think this is our Botzas Torah over here. Only what something that's done nowadays that you.
Well, Rabbi Kaplan, maybe we could say it's Sichas Chulin Shel Talmidei Chachamim. You,
Yeah,
not
well, I
me.
myself said that. You're right. Okay, so there is a toelis in it, true, but and maybe it's an important toelis, but I wouldn't call it our butas Torah. Anyway, Voraya, that when I say real Torah, so then he comes and complains, oh, we didn't get that many hits. But I said real Torah, so what? Well, I should be mad. I should say shallow Torah and light Torah and kanos and current events, and then that'll be called our Butzah Torah because a lot of people listened. I don't believe that, but it's something. I have the feeling that it's something that comes from the outside. It's a hashpah from the outside, and these things creep in. And we have to, it's one of the things we have to work on is trying to prevent the outside influences and dayas to get into us. And I think that to talk about Rav Kook is helping to understand this daya, not to let it creep into us. Now, I talked about Rav Kook's life, and I said last time that I read the book of Rusnak about Rav Kook's life, and after I finished reading it, I got turned off. I said, what? So what did he do? What did he accomplish? And I used the word failure. And let's say, for example, when he tried to make some kind of a party or a group or something called Degel Yerushalayim, nothing came out of it. He tried to be Mekar of the Chilonim and Lamed Schus on them and talk about their Sherish Neshamas are so high. He wasn't Matzliach. There was like a certain rabbi in Beitving, a very shallow person. He said, Hu chashav she'achilonim yachzeru b'tshuva. Achilonim lo chazru b'tshuva. He thought the Chilonim will do tshuva, and they didn't do tshuva. That's putting it in very simple language. But and he thought that he's gonna talk about the shorish neshamas of the Chilonim, so he's gonna be mekar of them. They weren't niskarv through him, and I don't think he accomplished anything in that. Then he went and he spoke at the laying of the cornerstone of the Hebrew University, and he said it's only on condition that they won't study Bible criticism. And they did study Bible criticism. They fooled him.
Weizmann fooled him.
He said,
Weizmann.
And it wasn't Mitzion, and it wasn't Teitze, and it wasn't Torah. and you see that everything he did, I mean, the impression you get after you read that book and the other things you hear about him, that he was a failure. Now somebody's going to start arguing with me. What do you mean he was a failure? Who tells you what success means and what failure means? It's very common that people start arguing with you because of the language you used. But the idea behind it, they don't really have what they answer on it. So I'm going to change the word, and instead of using the word failure, I'm going to say the accomplishments that he tried to accomplish, he was not successful in. Of course, he was successful. He was a gadol b'Torah, and he was a Baal Chazon, maybe you could call it. He had vision, and the Ruach was shara on him. The Spirit rested on him, you could say, that he was able to produce such svarim with such high ideas and such high language. And I said already last week, when you read it, things, you feel like you're flying in the air. You're above Olam Hazeh, and you're living in a world of holiness. you feel like you're together with this millions of malach, literally millions of malachim that are singing shira, and we're together with them singing shira to Hashem, and not having any worries on our head, and not being interested in anything gashmi. All that you feel from him, that's a big success in expressing all that and putting it into writing. But what he wanted to accomplish in the Olam Hazeh Gashmi, he did not accomplish. The only thing now that's my answer to those. I don't know if anybody listened good enough to be able to criticize me over that. I'm criticizing myself. As we know that people that their mazel is Virgo, they criticize everybody and they criticize themselves also. So I'm saying I could be criticized by saying, what do you mean failure? Who tells you what failure means and who tells you what success is? True, it's a good criticism. But my answer is what he wanted. I won't call it failure. But what I do want to say is what he wanted to accomplish, he did not accomplish. What was the mark that he made on the world that stayed till today? That le'umiyut, nationalism, is his'orerus, an awakening that comes from the tzad ha'kedusha. And that idea is by many people, by a whole group that are called the Datim Lumiyim, and that is not Das Torah. And even though you could find sources for it, and you could bring chazals for it, and again, I always like to say over this story that Meir Bar Ilan was traveling all over to spread the ideas of Zionism. He came to a certain Hungarian Rav one time, and the Hungarian Rav in Hungary, he said he doesn't hold of it. So Meir Bar Ilan starts saying, but you see, the Torah warns to plant and to plow and to plant and to work the land. So this Rav said, you're going to bring me chazals, I'll bring you chazals the other way. It just, my heart tells me that this is not the Rotzen Hashem Zionism. And that is what Rabbi Yisrael Eliyahu Weintraub in the Akadam of the Sefer Tkufa B'Saras Eliyahu. So he says that you can say deep ideas, and you could bring chazals, and you could talk very high. Hofas ruach mimorum. A ruach can come over a person from above. But if it's against the healthy chush, the healthy feeling of Klal Yisrael, so these words, so it's treif, it comes from the tzadat tumah, and the tzadat tumah is trying to put these ideas into that person in order to bring mistakes. And that's the answer. The fact that it's deep, and the fact that it's used chazals, but it's against the koach, I would call it, of the koach of Bnei Anavim, that the Gemara says in Pesachim, beginning of the 6th parak, Imenam Navim Bnei Navim. There's a certain koach that Klal Yisrael has that's called Bnei Navim. The Viesnitzer talks about it in the Sefer Shlosha Ma'amorim in the end of the Chavos HaTalmidim, that there's such a thing as Bnei Navim. This Klal Yisrael has, they can feel what's right, what's the derech of our ancestors, and what's not the derech, what's the Mesoros and what's going away from the Mesoros. And anything that the chush, the koach, and the feeling of Bnei Anavim that Klal Yisrael has, that feeling tells us that it's treif, So it's treif. It doesn't help as much as you can talk and bring.
Rabbi Kaplan, we're taking a break. Thank you.